Welcome back to the Hacktivist Mechanic. I'm Mike. Thanks for joining me today. Today's going to be a really cool episode. So I have a friend in Houston, and he called me about 6 months ago and said, "Hey, I'm looking for an air-cooled 911 kind of like yours. Could you help me find something?" And I said, I'd love to. There's nothing I like better than going down the rabbit hole of Craigslist and the internet marketplace to try to find a vehicle for a friend. I got an idea of sort of his budget, what he's looking for, colors, models, things like that. And so, we've kind of targeted the 80s from, early 80s to late 80s, preferably a Targa, possibly a coupe, something in black, silver. Color's not necessarily that important. Not afraid of a project, but depends on price and how the car is. So I found a car a few months ago, back in March, that was a gold SC from the early 80s, beautifully maintained, a lot of upgrades, sort of more designed for the track, but I went and drove the car. It was very solid. Great car. The only thing was we were late by about 10 minutes. So right before we called to go look at it, somebody had called and put a deposit down on the car, sight unseen from Massachusetts. The seller gave him a week to transfer the money, and literally hours before he was going to call us to say the car is yours, the guy transferred the money to pick up the car. So we missed that one, but we've been continuing to look, and I found one this week that is a silver 1977 911S. The listing wasn't very clear. The pictures were bad. They were blurry. It was dark. Just not a great look on the car. And the ad had some decent description, but it was enough for me to send to the friend and say, "Hey, I don't know about this car, but it's priced somewhat reasonably, and there's a lot of extras." So the car has a lot of other bits that are upgraded: rim line, pedals, floorboards, new carpet, Dynamat, Rhino lining, shocks, all kinds of hood struts, like all kinds of extra stuff that I said, "Hey, this could be pretty good." So I went to look at the car about 3 days ago. Get there, it's a bit more of a project, as these kind of tend to be. And we looked over the car. I said, I don't know. There's a lot going on here, but let's take it for a drive. Turn the key, get battery. You can hear the fuel pump come on. Nothing happens. And I said, "Well, what's going on here?" And he said, "Well, I've got a new starter, a new battery, and I just drove the car 15 minutes ago, but now it wouldn't start." Figure. So as he's cranking the car, I'm in the back looking at the engine, and I notice fuel coming out of one of the fuel hoses. And I said, "Hey, you got to shut this down. You need to get this looked at." So I called, I texted the guy later. I said, "Hey, the car's cool. It's a project, but you need to get this running, and because you're not going to sell it if it's not running, obviously. If you get it running, I'll come look at it. I'll drive it, and we'll go from there." The seller is asking $32,500 for the car, and doing some research, looking at bringing a trailer, seeing what these are going for. Numbers matching late 70s 911S with a 2.7 liter engine. In running good condition, these are low 30s, mid 30s cars. In rough condition with the matching engine, they're mid 20s. And this one we're talking about a non-matching engine out of an 80 911S 3.0 liter that we don't really know that much about, and it wasn't currently running. But I think it was just I called the seller again. He says, "Hey, I got it running. The starter was not in very good. The battery post comes off." I said, "Okay, I'll come take a look." So we weren't really in the ballpark with what he was asking, but we've talked to him a little bit more and got it closer, I think, a reasonable price. But it's got to be running really good, shifting through all the gears good, brakes got to work good, engine pulls good, and we probably still need a pre-purchase inspection. So I'm going to take you with me to go see this car. Again, I've already seen the car, so I'll go over sort of the highlights and things that I'm concerned about, and then hopefully it will start and we can drive it, and then we'll make a decision from there. So we're going to go see the car now and see how it drives. So I'm on my way to see this 911, and sitting in some traffic here in Dallas. There's a wreck up ahead, and I'm just trying to think about what all I'm going to be looking for the car, to help give my friend a better peace of mind that this vehicle could work. And again, I have seen the car already, so I kind of know what to expect. There's some trim missing on one side. The paint is generally pretty good. It's a repaint. There is one spot that needs to be addressed above the passenger rear wheel well. There has been some Rhino lining inside, and I was worried that might be hiding some rust, but I don't really see any other places.
you know, the car is a bit messy and a few things need to be adjusted. A lot of these parts are on but not complete. The doors are kind of shot, but they have door cards to replace those. So that's all kind of cosmetic stuff. But really, you know, I'm looking for how the engine pulls. Do the brakes, are they stiff? Where's the clutch? Does it shift through all the gears? I know I've made this mistake before where I've driven a car for somebody and there was some grinding of the gears, and I thought, oh, that's just, you know, an older, you know, transmission, but really it was the synchros needed to be replaced. So you know, that's something that I need to be a bit more cognizant of this time. So hopefully I can, you know, take it on the highway. We can, you know, give it some revs and then get it back on some other roads to see how it corners. But you know, this car here is going to be a interesting one because I still think it's a bit higher in price than probably where it should be. But there is some potential. I mean, again, it's a 3-liter out of a different car that I don't know that much about, so we're going to see how that plays out. But yeah, we'll see when we get there, and hopefully it's decent driver. All right, here's the car, 1977 911S, the Fuchs, which are you know, decent shape, just need to be cleaned up. Paint is pretty solid all around, actually. This side is missing a trim piece right here. I'll show you on the other side. See the top up here, a little bit wavy kind of in the back. See there, right here. And then it looks like this, he actually took care of this. There was some spots here, so it looks like they sanded that down. Hey Mark, sorry. Getting some B-roll here of the car. And around the back here, this is a cool feature. This deck lid is new. It's pretty cool. You can see back here, this is a little bit faded. This Porsche sign here, these are kind of a little bit cracked. I'm not sure if those lights actually work. The license plate holders probably missing. And then you can see this side with, here's the Targa spots here. It's good. There's the trim you can see on this side is good. Windshield looks solid. In the front. And there's the front. We'll show you some more here in a second. All right, now we're going to go to the interior. If we can get this open here. We're going to open up kind of the front. Let's see if we can get this. Let's see if we can get that open. All right, here's the interior. So we've got new hood struts here. This is new. This is all Rhino lined. Looks pretty good there. This down here is a little loose, so that needs to be addressed. New battery. This is the post that was kind of sticking, so I have to keep an eye on that. So, you know, in here looks pretty good. You know, I don't know if it, let's say, let's look under here. Looks pretty solid. Pretty good there. Let's go to the interior. So, seats recovered. Really nice, look really good. This is a power seat that does not work and doesn't go back and forth, so it's something to keep an eye on. New carpet, right?
It's new carpet.
New carpet.
It's Rhino line and also Dynomat.
Right. Yeah. So there's a Rinline. That's Rinline there. New Prototipo steering wheel. Those are really nice. Love those. This is all new carpet. You can see on the top here. I don't know if you can see that really good. It's top probably needs to be adjusted a little bit. There's a little bit of a headliner kind of sagging back here. I didn't check out these seats, but those look pretty serviceable, pretty standard. I'm gonna skip the engine for just a second. Let's go back on this side. Oh, we gotta unlock that. Would you, can you unlock that for me, Lord? Thanks. There we go. So, other side. Show you underneath the carpet. You can see the dyno matting in there, which is pretty good. This seat, I'm not sure if it comes up or not. It's a bit wonky. You can see it's kind of sitting back, so that maybe the mechanicals need to be sort of taken care of. door jambs, you know, so you can tell there's some paint there. These doors here, this is kind of busted. This is pretty ratty, but again, he does have RS door cards. You can see that one over there is, you know, in worse shape. So those definitely got to come off. That's not that big of a deal. Dash, let's take a look here. Dash, there's some cracks here, crack there. So, you know, the rest looks okay. Just pretty standard for this. I think there's a new shift knob, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so let's take a look at the engine. .0 liter. Did they look at the fuel line?
They didn't look at that yet.
Okay, so we're gonna keep an eye on this because this is where we were seeing some leakage in this fuel line here, but take a look at that. So you wanna start it up?
Yeah.
All right. Let's take it for a spin.
And we're back in the garage after driving the 911. I gotta say, I was pretty surprised just overall how the driving experience. It's always fun when comparing, you know, my '87 911 with an older air-cooled 911. Completely different feels. This one here, it feels like so much newer than those. Just everything's tighter and just the biggest difference really is the transmission. And this is a G50, so you have that nice sort of click when you get to the right spot. The 915 gearbox, which I'm assuming it's a 915 gearbox in a 1977, I don't know that for a fact. But the 915, it feels like you're shifting into a sort of soft area, and somewhere in that soft area is your ideal catch point. And it'll catch, but it just doesn't have that click that this one does. And so it's always a challenge, you know, getting that sorted out. I did stall it when we first left, you know, getting used to the clutches. This clutch is actually a little higher than that one, but clutch felt pretty good, not a ton of travel. The brakes were solid. And I gotta say, the engine will really get up and go. I mean, it didn't start yesterday. I guess the issue was the starter was kind of loose. It's a new starter. So once they got buttoned up, you know, everything really moved. I mean, it ran smooth, it idled good, plenty of power. I was really impressed. I mean, it was a smooth engine. And shifting wise, going from first to second, you get this grind. And it's not like the synchro grind, it's just sort of that, you know, you probably know what I'm talking about. And the guy said, yeah, second is kind of bad on these, and I've experienced that before in other cars that I've driven. And you know, it happened 3 times, and then 3 times it happened where I had a good shift to second. So, you know, I think it's just that's the way these transmissions are. Probably needs to be looked at, but you know, it wasn't too bad. 3rd, 4th, 5th, all good shifts there. So, you know, overall, I really thought it was a great driving car. I mean, plenty of power in the engine, really fun, sounded pretty good, sounded like an old 911. A couple of things I noticed about the car that the seller told me, the Fuchs are actually 16-inch Fuchs. He took the 15s off and got 16s, which I think are much better. And the car comes with some BBS rims that he has that he's just going to throw in. And they're probably too wide for the car, but again, you can sell those for decent money, so that's something to consider. And what else? The power on the seat actually does work on the driver's seat. You have to use a slider to go back and forth. I didn't think that worked at first, but it did. There's no passenger side mirror, and I didn't realize that, and they didn't make them for that year, so pretty interesting there, but it didn't really seem to affect the way you drive, obviously. Overall, a really solid car. I asked him for some history. Sorry, it's really hot in my garage here. He had some receipts from the previous owner, was serviced out of Porsche dealership in Oklahoma City, and I found receipts going back to 1983. So that's all well and good, but we know that we have a different engine that originally came with the car. So I don't have that much paperwork for what seems like the new part of the ownership of the car, the most recent, say 10, 15 years. So that's a bit of a risk. And the engine in general is kind of a risk. The odometer says 140,000. The seller thinks the previous owner said that it had 40,000 engine. I find that hard to believe. A 40-year-old engine only has 40,000 miles. If that's the case, then it's a tremendous deal. So anyways, long story short, the seller is going to take it to a shop on Monday. It's coming, let's say 3 days from now, for a PPI. If it checks out, I think we're going to be able to work out a deal. He's also got this AMG that I'm looking at, and we might try to package the deal together because this guy kind of has a lot of cars that he needs to get rid of. He's a young guy, doesn't really know much about the Porsche. So I think it might be a good opportunity for my friend to get into an air-cooled 911, and I might get into a project car that I can now post more videos for you guys to watch and see me screw it up. So anyways, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all my other videos. I got a lot on the 911. I just posted one on my F-150, and hopefully I'll have some more. If my buddy does buy the car, maybe I'll bring it to my garage and we can have some more fun with it. So thanks for watching. Subscribe and check out my other videos.